So again, we do record these sessions, so later on, anyone who missed a class can watch it. We try to keep names out of it so that way I can put this out, okay? The main rule is to do your best. A few tips, so like you asked, to have a notebook and paper ready and pencil for notes, just like you would in class. If possible, try to find some quiet space. I know that can be hard. Like even now that I'm working, I can hear outside the someone mowing a lawn. And I know it can be difficult, but try your best to find quiet space, ask questions, and then office hours. So office hours are a time where if something wasn't clear during class, you can come in and ask questions. So from 2 to 3 o'clock on Tuesdays, and on Wednesdays, and on Fridays. Those are our class days.
Okay.
Give me 1 second because I think we just had a start. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the objectives for today, Thursday, April 16th, are that you will review finding the slope in Y-intercept form, and then, sorry, well, the Y-intercept, not Y-intercept form, and you'll write an equation from a graph. So I don't think any of you were here for the last lesson. The last lesson we reviewed Y-intercept. So I might take some time today to focus on that more than on the concept that I wanted you to learn. We're gonna review our do now. So again, just like you do in class, you take a do now, right? You do your do now, and then we review it. So right now we're gonna review the do now that you were supposed to do by today. I noticed none of you did it yet, the one that's due today. But that's okay, because you can always go back and do it after class. So enter the value for K. In a question like this, what do I do? And then anyone who knows the answer can answer. So what do I draw down the middle first?
A line.
Good, a line, good. And then what am I trying to get by itself here?
The K.
Good, really good, the K. So if this is division, it's divide by 5. What's the opposite of dividing?
Multiply.
Good, you multiply by what?
X. 5.
By 5. I heard someone say by 5. You multiply by 5. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the
Other side.
Good. And that leaves you with K is equal to, what's 4 times 5?
20.
Good, 20. If you go 4 or 5, 10, 15, 20, that's your answer. So for number 1, when you go into the system and you do your do now, that's all you have to put, okay? Now let's look at number 2. The number 2 asks, what's the slope and what's the Y-intercept? So first, we look at our slope. Our slope is written like this, M. M is equal to. Now remember, a slope is that example that I gave of the snowboarder. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Snowboarder? No? Okay, well, with snowboarding, so going down the hill, that's a negative slope, meaning my answer is going to go and be negative.
Negative.
Now, here I look at some points. So here's that line is right on those corners. And then I look for the next point. Okay. And I'm going to find my slope. It's, remember, slope is rise over run. So to get from here to here, how many spaces do I go either up or down? How many spaces? Get here. How many from here to here? How many spaces is that?
1 run.
Good. It's only, we only have 1. And then for our run, so from here to here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So our answer is this. Our slope is negative 1/4. So when you click here, it'll give you options like this. What you have to do is look for the one that says negative 1/4. So if you look, this one doesn't say negative, so it can't be that one. This one says negative 1/4. So you would click on that answer. Now, the next step would be to find your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is written as b is equal to, and then your answer. A y-intercept is where does this blue line cross the y-axis? So it crosses it right here. Notice how that's where it crosses it. What number is that on the graph?
Which one?
What is it?
That one? What number?
Yeah, so what number is this right here?
A 1.
Good. It's a 1. So your b is equal to 1. Good. So if we look, again, you click here. Answers do we get? You find for the one that says 1. And that's how we do that. So again, I know that you guys weren't here for our last session, so I'm gonna probably review y-intercept because do you guys know y-intercept?
No.
No? Okay, so I'll go ahead and review that. Maybe we'll review, Ms. Ross, what do you think? Should we go over that last lesson?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Right, because I
Right.
think we need more, okay. So for our last lesson, we reviewed, oh no, this isn't even the right, this is geometry's course. For our, let's go to Algebra 1. So for our last lesson, we reviewed what are called y-intercepts. And that's maybe, you know what, yeah, we'll definitely practice that today.
Okay.
All right, so first of all, let's find slope. When we find slope, we do m is equal to, and then we do rise over run, okay? The first thing we look at is this a positive, a negative, a 0, or an undefined slope? So I'm not sure if you guys do remember or not, and it's okay if you don't, we'll review it right now. But when we had class, I told you that story of the snowboarder. So we pretend that a snowboarder is going up the hill. That's a positive slope. If the snowboarder is going down the hill, that is a negative slope. Then remember how we did if the snowboarder is not going anywhere, he's just on ground. That's a 0 slope. And then if the snowboarder is standing here and he just falls to his death pretty much, it is an undefined slope. Does that sound familiar? Kind of remember that? Us going over it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Number 1, which one does it look like? Does it look like positive, negative, 0, or undefined? What does this one look like?
Positive.
Positive. Positive.
So this one positive, it goes from this way, that way?
I would
get
wait,
it.
It's a negative.
It's a negative because notice this one's going
Oh,
down.
negative.
This one's also going down. So my slope, and M means slope, is negative. Do rise over run. So I look at my point. It's going down how many spaces? 1, 2, 3. So first, how many does it go down? Like if it's an elevator, it goes down 3 floors. And then how many steps do you take? 1, 2. And that's how you find your slope.
This is kind of easy.
Good. It should. I'm really glad. So help me out with this one. Is this a positive, negative, a 0, or undefined slope?
Maharap to te dicto.
It's a negative.
It's a
Maharati sí. Maharati te dicto. Pero no vas a jugar el juego, el vídeo.
Might
it's a
wanna mute.
negative slope.
Es en clase.
Okay, so it's a negative slope. And then what's that rise over run? So how many spaces does it go down? Oh,
Mm,
4 spaces.
good. And then from left to right?
1.
5, 6, 7.
6.
Good. And this is actually, this one would, the can be simplified, but that's something we'll have to review down the line. So this is what we covered, I want to say maybe like 2 sessions ago. So I did want you guys to also look at the y-intercept, because now that we're doing slope-intercept form, you need to know 2 things. You need to know the slope, and then you need to know the y-intercept. So the next step would, so what I want you guys to focus on, at least for number 3, is where does this blue line, where does it cross the y-axis? And notice the y-axis is this line right here that's labeled y. At what point does the blue line cross the y-axis? So can anyone tell me where it crosses? At what number?
Number?
And then I'll label this to help for now.
Oh, next. -3.
Good, it crosses it at -3. So that's your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is wherever your line crosses the y-axis. So it's usually written out as B. B means y-intercept. So remember, M means slope. B means y-intercept. So your B for this question is -3 because that is where it crosses the y-axis. Now, Eric, can you tell me what the slope is here?
Which one?
For number 3? What is the slope?
The slope here?
Mm-hmm.
The run or the rise?
So remember, you always do rise first and then the run. So rise on top as the numerator, and that the denominator would be your run.
The denominator? Okay. Zero.
So the first question would be, is it a positive, negative, 0, or undefined slope? So positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Out of these 4 right here on the left side, which one does this look like?
Looks like
Yeah, okay.
Positive.
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 Good. I heard someone say positive. Good. It looks like a positive slope. So we know it's a positive slope. We do rise over run. So from this point to that point, how many units does it go up by?
-3. Positive.
Well, it goes up by how many?
3.
3. Good. And we want to do that because it's a positive slope. We don't need to write -3, okay? Because it goes up 3 units. Now, how many does it go either left or right? How many spaces? How many units?
Left or right? Goes by
So it went over, how many units is that?
Oh no. 1.
So we have 1. What's 3 divided by 1?
3 divided by 1 is 1.
So remember, anything divided by 1, it's that same number. So if you have 9 divided by 1, it's 9. 8 divided by 1, it's 8. 16 divided by 1, 16. So what do you think 3 divided by 1 is?
Huh?
What's 3 divided by 1?
3 divided by 1 is 1.
Good. Oh, it goes what?
1.
So it's the number itself. So if you have 6 divided by 1, your answer would be
6.
if you have 9 divided by 1, it's
9.
8 divided by 1, it's 8. So what do you think 3 divided by 1 is? Looking at that pattern.
It's gonna be 3.
Good, it's gonna be 3. So 3 divided by 1, your slope is 3. All right, we're not gonna look at number 4 right this second because I do want you to, well, we only have about 5 minutes left. So instead what I want us to do is look at what do you have for our next class. So I know we did a review of our last session. So if we look at, where's my today's lesson? Okay, so here we go. So by the end of the class, and I know this is something review. So by the end of, after class today, so if you haven't done your do nows, go ahead and do any work that you still have to do. There are quite a few assignments that need to be done by this, or that should have been done by now, but if you didn't get a chance,
Pon
go back and
atención.
find those assignments. And then we have exit tickets as well.
Dame-
So complete the exit ticket for today. There's an exit ticket. And then you also have an assignment for this week. That one I would like for you to finish it by April 20th, which I believe is Monday. Okay.
This is the complete part.
Before class on, our next class is on Tuesday. So before class on Tuesday, April 21st, complete the due now. I know that these times are very short and everything goes by. So make sure to come by office hours and on Wednesdays and on Fridays if you have any questions.
Melvin, siéntate acá.
No,